America, we stand for freedom. Though freedom is never really free, we yearn and strive for government, protecting our liberty.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Your Right to Know, brought to you by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. Tonight, I will be your host, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation about a plague that is happening across our nation, and that's what's known as Trump Derangement Syndrome. Today, for my guest, is Dianna Plouss. She is a political activist for the conservative movement. Thank you, Dianna, for joining us on our show.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Now, this show is going to be difficult for many of us. Tonight, we're going to address the rising attacks on supporters of President Trump. There's been an increase of attacks on persons and property because someone dares support our president. You, your family, and your friends have actually been a victim of this type of attack. Can you let our viewers know what happened?
So the incident involving my daughter, I live in Gloucester. She took my truck to go to a grocery store. And on the back of my truck, I had, and I'll explain after why I say had, 3 Trump bumper stickers from the 2016 campaign. And somewhere along her journey to the grocery store, which is about 3 miles from my house, somebody saw her and followed her because of the Trump stickers on the back of the truck. So this person, my daughter, I guess, decided to go to McDonald's first. You know, you have to go to McDonald's.
Of course,
right?
you know, grabbing a snack
Eat
on you.
before you go grocery shopping.
That's always a smart thing to do.
It is a smart thing. So my daughter went into McDonald's not knowing that this person was watching her. Went into McDonald's, ordered something, came out, went back into the truck, which my daughter had parked, I guess, across the street from McDonald's in Gloucester. And this person, it's a young woman, watched my daughter eat, then followed her, which is maybe another 2 miles back to the grocery store. While my daughter was in the grocery store, this young woman rode into my truck, and I don't know, I think she used a knife. And the reason I think that is it cut the emblem, and so I don't know
the
that
heavy
a key,
plastic emblem.
Yeah, I don't know that a key would have been able to do that. So on the door panel, the driver's side, she wrote F all the way, Trump, in capital letters, and then on the left side panel, she wrote I am a Nazi, you know, carved it in there, and she put a swastika.
Oh my God. And so
this happened while my daughter was in Market Basket. I feel like I wonder if the girl had somebody watching.
We have a couple of photographs that's up on the screen now of some of the damage that is done, but there was more damage done to the vehicle as well. Is that correct?
Yes. So on the other side, it looked like she had taken whatever tool she had, and she must have walked around the truck and scratched. You can tell. You can just tell that that she scratched into the truck. So my daughter is in the grocery store. I said, I wonder if she had an accomplice, because how did she not know my daughter was going to come out? She left a note. So
that was brazen.
It was brazen. She didn't sign it.
Yeah.
But so
of course, they stay anonymous.
Right. But she left a note on the back of an envelope, right? And she slid it into the driver's side door window because my daughter had left it open a crack. And it said, I saw your car with the propaganda stickered on it. She said car instead of truck. And I followed you. I watched you eat McDonald's without a care in the world. I've read it enough times that I know, right?
Yeah.
And it said, you are responsible for the crimes against humanity, for the homophobia, for the racism, for all the problems at the southern border. I hope that if you have children, you can sleep at night, because I can't, knowing that these things are going on. And then she finished by saying, use your huge tax break to pay for the damage.
Oh my God. Wow.
I mean, she was bold.
I guess so.
She was bold.
Wow. I mean, what do you think that, we have so many attacks that have happened, just in the past few months, including yours. What do you think the driving force behind these attacks are?
I think, honestly, part of it is no limit setting. Mm-hmm. There's no limit setting. You can say and do whatever you want in all arenas of life, right? Mm-hmm. Where you push the envelope, right? The criminal can have, 50 charges or something, and they're still walking the streets. Mm-hmm. So I think there's that envelope pushing, but it's become okay to be rude mm-hmm. to people who support President Trump.
Well, do you think that the actual attacks are driven because Trump has been so successful in his presidency, and the anti-Trump crowd can't take the fact that he hasn't fallen on his face in regards to his policies? I'm not referencing anything involving Gerald Ford. I'm just saying that he's done a great job, and the country is moving ahead. And the country as a whole is moving away from the left and socialistic ideas. Is that what they just can't take? Is they just can't understand it?
I think part of it is that. I think unfortunately we will see more ramping up before it dies down, because people in power who have been in power, they're corrupt, right? We know they're corrupt, mm-hmm. and they have a lot to lose. So they have to rev up their bases, right? The people that support them, they're revving them up. The propaganda on TV, newspaper, right? All of that. So I think that's part of it. But I also think that this was a young woman, 22 years old, educated, mm-hmm. a graduate of college, and I think they've bought it hook, line, and sinker, and they're teaching this stuff in school, right? You can't wear, there are stories where a student might wear a Trump shirt or something,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And they're told they either have, I heard it on the radio today, they either had to go home, the student had to either go home
or turn it inside
out, or put a jacket on, right?
Yeah.
So even from leadership, from people who you look to say cut it out, they're not getting that message. So for whatever reason, this woman thought that she could get away with all of that and that it was going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, that you actually just led right into my next question. When Trump gets elected in 2020,
and he will,
do you think these attacks will increase?
I think it's likely, because I think when people have a lot to lose, right? And some, I'm going to say this, you can't blame them, because who wants to lose, right? So a lot of people have invested decades and decades into seeing this happen in America.
Oh yeah,
right?
Just the past 8 years, we've had...
Just the past 8 years, but they've been at this to get socialism, 50, 70 years in America? So, mm-hmm. right? And so of course they're going to fight back, mm-hmm. right? And who's going to fight back for them? Their underlings, mm-hmm. the people who the least educated, and I don't mean educated in terms of
useful idiots,
educational, right? These people who have been brainwashed. Mm-hmm. But what's ironic about that is, with this girl, right, this young woman, her whole family was clearly anti-Trump.
And you know who this woman is, but for legality purposes, right. We're not going to say anything about who it is. But there are photographs of this person, at the rallies, the anti-Trump rallies. It's interesting, because I was in D.C. on January 21st, mm-hmm. 2017. And why was I there? Because the day before was the inauguration. Mm-hmm. And when we got up the next morning, right, on the morning of the 21st, we're right in D.C., that's where we stayed, and all these people were walking around with all these pink hats. I had no clue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was so busy to get people down there, right. that I had no idea. I knew there was a march, but I didn't understand this pink hat business. Right. But they were everywhere, tens of thousands. And this photo that somebody sent me was taken at that march, mm-hmm. with this young woman's family members, right. Mother, 2 sisters, and I think father. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a family thing. Right. So she thought she had permission. So it was almost bred into her, almost, that this is okay. I can damage somebody else's property and not have any repercussions whatsoever. So now, going on, we have a chance to change the makeup of this country for the better, such as appointing new Supreme Court justices, implementing positive change in the immigration system. The country's unemployment is just dropping lower and lower. What are these people so upset about? We had a stagnant economy, and basically we're non-existent for the past 8 years of Obama on the world stage. You would think these positive changes would be welcome.
Right, but remember, a lot of young people, even older people though, because I've been at rallies with older people and I'm shocked. I'm looking, I'm like, what? You want socialism? You want Marxism? But they've been indoctrinated. They don't even know what they're doing. Because when I was growing up, right, we could have conversations about disagreement about certain things, but it didn't have this venom to it. It didn't have this viciousness to it. I mean, just today, right? Going out, I had to go to Nashua for my radio show. Then I scooted over here. Two people driving in
Two separate individuals
gave me the finger, and they didn't just give me the finger. And I'll use my thumb as an example, but it was like this. It was like this energy, hatred, and all they saw on the back of my truck. Now I have 2 Trump bumper stickers.
Okay, where originally you had?
I had 3.
Okay.
And my daughter took off 1, and she said, well, it was peeling. It wasn't peeling, but she's nervous.
She's afraid.
She is afraid. And then even today, which I thought, she was pushing me hard, her voice is increasing, to take off the veterans for Trump bumper sticker. Now, I put that on there because that's the sticker we had, and it was on there. But she kept insisting to me, well, we're not veterans. We're misleading people. I said, well, you're my cousin and my brother, they both served, so I may not be, but, but we weren't getting into a battle, but I could see that it was going there, so I said to her, if you want to take it off, take it off.
I mean, have you thought about, putting her in therapy? Like, she could have PTSD from this attack. She was targeted. She was stalked. She was
targeted, and so the thing about it is people are focusing, and I'm not blaming you or anything, right? Because people look at the truck and they see what it says. They see the truck, they don't see my daughter. She was followed around by somebody who she didn't know was watching her while she ate.
That's creepy enough.
I watched you eat McDonald's, right? I watched you eat McDonald's, and yet that's the thing that's the scary part. And so in terms of therapy, that's what she said to me today. So she stayed for the last, I want to say 7 to 10 days, she stayed on the South Shore. And she took my car to go somewhere, and then she said that she got the finger by somebody today, this morning. So then that brought us into the conversation about the bumper stickers.
Right.
And so I said, take it off. You want to take it off, take it off.
Now, how do we stop the attacks? I mean, obviously, these people are getting away with it, and nothing more than a slap on the wrist. I referenced a few incidents that just happened in the past couple of months. In fact, the other night, a vandal used a pickaxe and destroyed Trump's Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This is the most recent attack on this property. But basically it's been vandalized multiple times, but never on this level.
With a pickaxe.
With a pickaxe.
In the summertime.
Yeah, somebody was carrying around a pickaxe in California in a guitar case just to destroy this. In fact, previously there was a vandal, James Otis. He took a sledgehammer to his star. He was ordered to complete 20 hours of basically litter picking and $4,000 for the cost of the repairs. It's things like that. And the person who just recently vandalized the star, he actually walked into the LAPD, said, I'm the guy that just destroyed Donald Trump's star, and he's in custody and faces a $20,000 fine. Why do you think these people are, again, so brazen about it?
Because look who you have, the leaders, right? The leaders, Nancy Pelosi, right, Schumer, they're pushing people, right? They're pushing people. It was no different. The thing that strikes me the most out of Obama, initially from when Obama got elected, was he said, and I lived in Cambridge at the time, so that's why it stuck with me. He said the Cambridge police acted stupidly.
Right.
And I didn't vote for him, but I felt like he was the president. But when he said that, it stuck in my head because I thought, geez, you're the leader.
Right.
You don't want to set a precedent. Little did I know what would happen over the next, right now, almost 10 years later, right? Well, we'll say 9 years later from when he said that.
Yeah, roughly.
Because it was roughly at the beginning of his first presidency, where you have these attacks on police. So you're not going to tell me that he didn't know, right? You're not going to tell me that. So you could settle this very easily if you had people like Maxine Waters, who's pushing people, right? Fine them. This is, I mean, their leaders are saying, find these people and make their lives miserable, even if it means hurting them.
Right. Well, I mean,
so they have to stop.
And I mean, it's not just. I mean, adults can protect themselves, okay? But we actually have children being attacked in this country. On May 15th of this year, a kid wearing a MAGA hat, a Make America Great hat, similar to yours.
To this nice little hat.
Similar to yours.
I have on.
I'm going to massacre his name, but a Eugenio Joseph, who was dining with his family on Mother's Day at the Cheesecake Factory, and the staff actually pointed him out, grouped together, and it was actually stated by one of the staff members, I'm going to knock his head in so hard his hat's going to come off. And it was further alleged that some of the employees used the N-word against this young man, brandishing fists, and the family was mocked and ridiculed, and they actually had to leave the restaurant, and waiting outside for them were the Miami police. Waiting for the victims to come out. No charges were filed against the employees in this matter, and the Cheesecake Factory actually put out a release saying, "Oh, we don't want anybody to feel like they can't come in." But obviously, in the Miami Cheesecake Factory, don't set foot in there, wearing any kind of pro-Trump
or an American flag pin.
Yeah.
Right?
And going on even further, this actually happened this past weekend in Seattle. On July 23rd, 2018, a teenager wearing a Make America Great Again hat was physically attacked by a woman and a man while he was waiting for the bus with his family. His hat was stolen, thrown to the road, spat on, all while the man continued to curse and flip off the family. This is just a family out for a day waiting for a bus, and they get attacked. The woman was actually heard shouting, "You're not welcome here." And then earlier, actually just in July, a bartender in Texas ripped a MAGA hat off of a 16-year-old boy's head, threw a drink in his face, and was caught on camera saying, "You ain't supporting S-word, N-word." And he left with the hat and said, "This is going to go right in my F-word fireplace, B-word." Aren't these not hate crimes?
I'm not a big fan of the hate crime, but since they decided to do that, I say...
Well, they carved a swastika in your car.
Fight fire with fire. And it's difficult. It's difficult to fight, but if we don't fight back, these people are going to get away with it. Well, and you have to push the police departments because they're under pressure politically, right? They are. Yeah. They're under pressure politically to not take this to the nth degree, and so I think people have to. But isn't throwing a soda inside, isn't that considered assault?
Yeah, it definitely would be.
Right, or battery.
It would be a battery.
It's a battery.
An assault is to put somebody in fear of their life.
Yes.
And battery is to actually place your hand, not just your hands, but like even if I blew smoke in your face, being a smoker, that's considered a battery.
Okay.
So throwing a drink in somebody's face, that's assault and battery. But yet these people are just allowed to walk. The incident involving the bartender in Texas, the only thing that he did was he lost his job. That's about all that happened to him. And until we start pushing the police to start charging with people with hate crime, when Obama was president, you criticized them. They considered that a hate crime.
I know.
Now you have people blatantly attacking people, physically attacking people on the streets of America today, and nothing is happening. The police are absolutely silent, and it's allowed to continue. What can the American people, who support Trump, do to protect themselves?
Well, I think just along those lines, it's also trying to suppress your freedom of speech, right?
Yeah, these are the people that say that, oh, they want to be so inclusive. You know, everybody has, you know, has a First Amendment right to free speech. Yeah, if you agree with them.
Right.
If you don't, well, you can go to the hot place.
So what do you do in terms of, because I'm not a law professional. But because the police can only go by what they have, but don't they have to go, like, get some help from the DA?
Yeah.
Like, the DA have to help them because...
Well, yeah, the DA would be the one that, well, the police would collect the evidence. The DA would then look at the evidence, make sure that there's enough to go forward with it. I mean, obviously, in certain cases, they have video footage.
They have a video. What more do you need?
Right.
So I think though, for people who it happens to, for example, in Massachusetts, Maura Healey, right after the election, put up a website that it's like a reporting thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a hate crime kind of thing.
Reporting,
right.
Yep.
So what I suggest is that if you have some sort of Trump paraphernalia, say on your car, like a bumper sticker, like I do, right? Or sometimes I ride around with President Trump and I have him facing out. And what I would recommend is if somebody's giving you the finger, like I had somebody on 128, like they were on this side, then they went on this side, and the guy gave me the finger all the way while he got off the exit. He was still giving me the finger out the window.
Talk about distracted driving.
Exactly, but I suggest writing down their license plate, getting their license plate, and reporting them in Massachusetts, reporting them on that website. We have to fight fire with fire, given the tools that they put out there, right, in response to the election of President Trump. So that's what I say. I say fight fire with fire.
Well, let's talk about this. The Trump derangement syndrome has even come down to some of our local elections. Independent candidate Shiva, and I can't pronounce his last name.
I think it's
Ayaduri. Okay, was attacked outside of an Elizabeth Warren event in Great Barrington.
Terrible.
Do you think this is going to start happening in every election, even the local ones?
Yeah, because I think people are getting away with it. So. That man should have been arrested right then and there, right?
Which he was.
Right.
I'll have to give the police credit.
Should throw everything at him, whatever they can charge this guy with. Charge him with.
Yeah.
To teach him a lesson, but he was a grown man.
Yeah.
He wasn't a kid.
No, he wasn't.
He had to be 50 or 60, I think.
Now, I mean, I remember in early 2000 when Bush was in office, people couldn't stand him. I'm dating myself here, but I can remember back to when Reagan, where people who hated him, even though he was one of the greatest presidents that we have seen. I'm a big Reagan fan.
Couldn't tell.
And has something changed with the American people, or is it the media that's pushing this?
I think you're onto that, because the media are helping to push the agenda of the politicians, right? And we can look to that. I always say to people, follow the money. Because you know what one thing the media doesn't do? Now, if I were reporting on something, I would say, well, what's driving it's not their ideology, right? Because when you're the media or higher up in the media food chain or one of these very powerful politicians, they're not driven by ideology. They're driven by this, right? So you see, like say a president or CEO, say of ABC, and they're married to a politician, right? What are you going to do there? The CEO can't have anybody under them who are reporting say anything bad about his wife.
Right.
So that's exactly what's happening. That's one of the big things that's happening, that nobody in the media, who, all these people that say they're objective, they never focus on that. Never, never, never. You never hear that connection, because if you put that connection together, everybody, many people would have that big, aha.
Yeah,
right?
the corruption would be shown, given the light of day.
That's what it is, because you can't have that. It's called a boundary thing. You just can't have it.
Well, I actually have, interestingly enough, on June 27th, about a month ago, USA Today reported that a war may be brewing within the U.S. A Rasmussen poll showed, amid widespread political polarization on issues like immigration and recent public confrontation of Trump's administration, administration officials, 31% of probable U.S. voters surveyed said that they think it's likely in the U.S. that the U.S. will experience a second civil war sometime in the next 5 years. Democrats at 37% were slightly more fearful of a second civil war than Republicans at 32%. This is Rasmussen we're talking about. It's not like it's just, you know, off the streets. The poll from Rasmussen also found that while more than half thought it was unlikely we will see it soon, 59% of voters were still concerned that opponents of Trump would resort to violence. Is that not what we are seeing?
I think we have already been in a civil war the past couple of years. It's just that there's so many of us, and we're spread out so far. It is. We had rioting at Berkeley, right? If we maybe were in a smaller country, right, you don't feel it. If say we were Israel, but I was interviewed in the summer of 2016 by a journalist who was doing a documentary. And I was new to politics then, right? That was my first campaign, and he told me, and he covered wars in the Middle East. I think he was from South Africa. He said that he has talked to his journalist buddies, and they said that what they see in America, that was 2 years ago, okay? What they were currently seeing was what they saw in other countries before war broke out in their country. So he said that to me 2 years ago. So yeah, I mean, I think we see pockets of it, resistance or whatever you want to call it, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm sure you have friends that are like stocking up on things.
Well, I'm not going to say yes or no, but
no, but I mean,
it's a good thing we're Republicans and we're pro-gun. So I mean, you know, if there's a civil war, I think we'll be all set.
Food, water, whatever.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's sad because we have politicians who are defending non-citizens. That's what we've come to. We're in a country where our tax dollars pay the salaries of the people that we elect, and yet they are fighting for people who aren't citizens. What kind of a mixed up world is that?
It's bizarro world. That's exactly what it is. But guess what? We are at the end of our show.
This was great. Thank you.
You know, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
It's been a great conversation. I think it's something that does need to be aired because the media is not doing it.
They're not.
And if we have to start on the local level, we most definitely will. And we would like to thank you for watching Your Right to Know and sitting here with the FRCC. As we leave you, we want you to remember that your local city town Republican committee is the only grassroots organization that supports and holds dear your liberty, your constitutional rights, and conservative values. We encourage you to join us. Why? Because to us, GOP stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity, and because we always stand for freedom. Thank you, and have a good night.
America, we stand for freedom. So let us all unite to yearn and strive for our republic that reflects our values, that preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might, that reflects our values and preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might.